a certificate issued by the library, you can do it by your attendance will be recorded there. And if you got any question about, can all go back to a couple of housekeeping announcements. All right, everybody, I guess we can get started right now. Once again, welcome to this library workshop on Bloomberg Equity Analysis Tools. Before I pass the time to our guest speaker from Bloomberg today, there will be a couple of housekeeping announcements. Number one is that the webinar will be recorded so that you guys can all go back to Blackboard Collaborate to review the recording later. And if you got any question about using Bloomberg during the class, feel free to type in the chat section, and then we'll be able to answer you right away. And then about the co-curricular achievement transcript, in short CAT. Your attendance will be actually recorded in this transcript issued by Center Source by semester end. So after completing all sections, your attendance will be recorded there. And again, if you really want to apply for a certificate issued by the library, you can do it by going to the library online courses and webinar pages, and then do the application. And after that, the e-certificate will be issued to you right away in the end of semester, which is in December this year. And about Bloomberg Professional, actually, this is one of the most widely used databases by the financial professional around the world, because from the platform, you will be able to find all sorts of financial asset classes like equities, bonds, forex, derivatives, commodity, etc. And also, this is one really ideal tool for you to kickstart your company research, because from there you will be able to find all sorts of data needed. For example, the historical stock price, the financial statement, analyst forecast, etc. To get access to Bloomberg Terminal, you got to come to the library and then use it within the dedicated terminal at the library. For those who cannot hear me, I guess the best way is that you have to, stop the session and then rejoin again, and then maybe I can help you later on. Yeah. And for those who would like to get access to Bloomberg Terminal, I guess you have to make reservation via our iBooking system. If you go to library homepage, right, simply click on iBooking icon. And then after that, right, you have to log in with your net ID and net password. Select Bloomberg Terminal and then make the reservation. Right. So once your session starts, remember to come on time, and then you will have to use your net ID and net password to log in with that terminal on time. And then from there, you should be able to see the Bloomberg app. Just open it up, and then the username for Bloomberg will be show up at the wallpaper of the terminal. Once you type it in, and then you can be able to use the service right away. So about today's workshop, right? That will be conducted by our guest speaker from Bloomberg, is Ingrid Lam, who will share about some of the insightful tips about using Bloomberg to do some equity analysis. Like she will give you some overview about how to find market information, and it drilling down to specific stocks, right? She will also tell you how to look for the chart, financial news, and then also show you some of the tips on how to do some comparison on to see whether the stock is worth buying or not, right? So I guess without further ado, let me pass the time to our guest speaker, Ms. Ingrid Lam. Right?
Thank you, Liam. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Let me try to share my screen first. 1 second. Can everyone see my screen? Let me try to enlarge it.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
Okay, great. So so now I will start the session on the equity analysis tool. So let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Ingrid, and from the Bloomberg Analytics team. And I cover mainly equity and technical analysis, meaning sometimes I will address clients' questions, conduct trainings on related functionalities. So today in our session, I would mainly talk about some of the basic equity functions, including how to fundamentals, earnings, like peer analysis and index price. And at the end, I will also touch on a bit on how can we use Excel and use Bloomberg formula to pull data in Excel for analysis, because this is especially useful for a lot of university students and interns and even when we're working. So to begin with, this, at the top, you see this is the command line, and this is where we enter securities and functions, etc. And to locate certain data of a security, the sequence is that we need to first load the security, and then we load the function. So let me quickly do an example. So take 10 cents, an example, we can first type, sorry. Oops, sorry, it seems that my computer is lagging a bit. Yeah, right. So now the drop-down menu comes up. You can click into the securities 700 HK equity here. And then after that, you will see that 10 cent equity is loaded at the top corner. On the command line, because we've already successfully loaded security, we will load the function. So the first basic function I would like to show is the security description. So you can just type description on the command line, and then here you will be able to see the different functions showing up in this menu. And the function we're going to is DES. So you can click, oops, sorry. Yeah, sorry, because just now I think my Wi-Fi is lagging a bit, so even on my end, the results are not shown immediately. So yeah, but after loading the function, loading security and then loading the function DES, you will be able to go to a page like this. So this is called the security description. You can see there are multiple tabs: profile, issue info, ratios, etc. So let's take a quick look at the profile tab. Here is where we are able to find out the basic information. So like, first of all, at the top, there is a short paragraph describing what business this company does, what sector it is in, things like that. And then at the bottom part, you will be able to see its price chart, some of its key information like its market cap, its year-to-date price change percentage, its estimates, and its dividend, etc. And moving on to the second tab, the issue information, here we will be able to locate information like its IPO and any of its additional share offerings, which exchange it is listed on, and how many shares is issued, etc. We also have the third tab for ratios, and here in this tab you will be able to locate for some of the key ratio like its price to PE ratio, price to book, EPS, return on asset, return on equity, etc. So it is divided into 6 major categories, and you will be able to locate some of the key ratios here. And we also have some other tabs like revenue and EPS, and for industry info if we have the industry information of this particular security. So I would say DES is the very basic function for us to get familiar with that particular stock in terms of some of its key data and what business it does. So this is the security description function. And what if we want to look for some of the historical data? For example, like its historical prices, its volume every day historically. So we have another function, and the function is called historical price table. So for example, after typing historical on the command line, this time again, we are looking for the functions under this category. And let's not look at the securities part, because we are loading the function now. You also see that the function name is called historical price table, and we have a shortcode called HP. So you can also type HP enter to directly go to that page if you're more familiar with how to navigate a terminal in the future. But now you don't necessarily need to memorize all these kind of shortcodes like HP, FA, HDS, these kind of stuff. As what I did here, you can also do the same. You can just type historical and type from the below function menu here and click into the historical price table function. So after that, you will see a page like this. So this is where we are able to see all of its historical data. So at the top left corner, here are some of the settings. For example, what is the date range we want to look at, and what is the period of the data, be it daily data, or if you want to see weekly data, monthly data, etc. You can change it here. And also the currency of the data, whether you want to see the price in Hong Kong dollar, or if you want to change it to US dollar for easier comparison with stocks and other exchanges, etc. You will be able to change the settings here. And in the top right corner, here's a summary. So for example, like within from 2019 to 2020, October, and what is the high price, what is the low price, when did that happen, what is the average price, etc. So information like this, you can see at the top corner. At the bottom part here, you will be able to see its historical data, like its last historical prices, volume, etc. Although this function is called a historical price table, we doesn't necessarily just show its historical prices, but it can also show a lot of other historical stuff like P/E ratio, market cap, things that you can think of. So to change the data item here, you see there is a market, and next to market there is this drop down. So drop down is where you can look for any other information. For example, say you want to look for its turnover, meaning the value traded, meaning the volume times the price each day, and you can just choose it at this drop-down menu. Or if there are some other items like P/E ratio, you cannot see it here. So what you can do is, at this drop-down, you can click Find a Field. After that, you will see a pop-up like this comes up. So at the top, you can search for like P/E ratio, then click into price earnings ratio, click select. So in that case, you can see that the P/E ratio is shown historically. I hope I'm not going too fast, but feel free to interrupt me if there is any part you want me to clarify. And yeah, this is what the HP function, the historical price table function, is about. And if you would like to have this data in Excel, you can click Export button at the top right bar. So this is pretty straightforward. Next, I wanted to show you guys the functions where we can look for charts of the securities. So I can type chart at the command line, and you will see that we have this function line chart with short code being GP. Clicking into this function, you will be able to see a chart like this. At the top left corner, here are some of the settings, like whether you want, what is the time frame of the chart, daily chart, or monthly chart, etc. Things like that. You will be able to adjust the settings here. And at the top right corner, you can click Edit Chart. And after clicking Edit Chart, this is where you are able to add different securities or fields or even technical studies here. For example, say I wanted to see not just 700 HK, I wanted to see HSI index. So here I will type HSI, and you'll see a menu like this. So you see we have three big categories: security, field, events, or maybe some other categories. But for now, if we are adding a security, please choose anything under the security and ignore all these field events. And I will choose HSI index here. Yes, after that, you can see a blue line pops up. This line essentially is indicating the HSI index. And then we can also add some other information. So for example, like not just last price, we also wanted to check the P/E ratio of these stocks. So what we can do is, similarly, we type price earning ratios. And then now at this drop-down menu, you see we have to look for information under field. So essentially what does field means? Field is like the data item. So all the data in Bloomberg, we are stored in the form of field. So price earnings ratio is a field, and we will need to locate this. We click into this and we edit it. And there will be a pop-up asking you whether you want to show the ratio for both Tencent or HSI. So if that's the case, take both. If not, then just take the one that you, and then after that, click update. Yeah, so after that, you will see two more lines, the orange lines and the purple lines. They are essentially telling a P/E ratio of Tencent and HSI index. So at the legend here in the chart, you can see what are the lines and what does that represent. And also on the right-hand side, under edit chart, these are where you can add or delete the chart that you need. And for example, if you want to edit the layout for the text, so you can also click on these pencil icons for the edit. For example, for HSI index, I don't want it to put everything on the same panel. I want the information of HSI index to move to another panel. What I can do is, under HSI index, next to last price, you see there is a pencil icon. I click into the pencil icon, and there will be a pop-up like this. So you can see that on the right-hand side, there is display settings. So here we will be able to change it, for example, to new panel and then click on update. Yeah, after that, you will see the price of HSI index, the blue line, is moved to a new panel. And similarly, if you also want the P/E ratio of HSIs to go to this panel, you can do the same and repeat what I did just now. So I was thinking this might be somehow useful for you guys if you would need to do some kind of presentations or projects or research, etc. So it is always good to incorporate some charts for analysis. So if you need to look for charts of certain securities or data, then in chart GP function would be the page where you can look at. And if you want to have take a look at the raw data, so like numbers in terms of for this chart instead of the line, you can click the table button at the top. So in that case, you can see the price, the volume, and the P/E ratio, etc. All these are shown here. So clicking back the chart icon, it will brings me to the chart. And you may also be curious, why are there these three lines, the pink, green, and yellow line appeared, even though we didn't add it. These are actually the simple moving average lines, and it is some kind of a technical study. So by default, I have choose that to appear on my chart. But if you don't like, just click the moving average button at the box at the top, and the lines will be gone. So this is what the GP function is about. If this part is okay, I also wanted to show you guys another chart function for intraday movement. So that would be the GIP function. The GIP stands for intraday price chart. And then, yeah, as you can see on the screen here, this line is actually updating in real time, and the price will move because currently the stock is trading. So GIP is the function which allows us to see the real-time movements of the security in a chart. And especially if you are doing some trades your own, or maybe in the future, then this function will be very frequently used because you would need to keep track of the real-time price movement of the securities. And similarly to GP functions, top left corner is where we can have the settings, like we can specify the time. And on the right, we have edit chart. This is where you can add other securities or even technical studies, things like that. So yeah, the logic behind it is similar to GP, but the difference is that GP is showing us historical data, maybe charts for 1 year, chart for 5 years. But for GIP, it is showing us intraday price. So if this part is also okay for everyone, I will move on to the next function, talking about how to look for news for a particular company. 1 second, let me check if there is any question from this. Okay, if there is any question, feel free to put that in the chat, or you can also ask me in the Q&A session later. So yeah, to look for company news, you can just type company news at the top command line. Yes, and then you can see we have this function called CN, standing for individual company news. Clicking into that function, because we have already loaded Tencent, it will show all the relevant news that relevance to Tencent. Oh, sorry, I just saw a question. Can Bloomberg use? Okay. Can Bloomberg use historical data to predict forecast trend of the stock, like 1 month, 3 months, 6 months forecast? Yeah, we do have a function for forecast and estimate, and we will cover that later. And is that okay? If that's okay, then I will continue the part on the CN first. Okay, sure. So yeah, this is where you can look for relevant news for Tencent. And if you want to further customize the news, for example, you only want to look at maybe news relevance to maybe dividends only, then you see that at the top left corner, there is an orange search box. So just type whatever you need in this search box. Like after I type dividends, I see that I can type in dividend to search for the exact keyword, so I can locate like certain topics, so dividend related news. So I can click it here. Yeah, and then you will see that for the following news, it would be relevant to Tencent and dividends. Yeah, so this is what the news function is about, and by clicking into this particular article, you will be able to see the news and what are the other recommendations, etc. So these are some of the basic functions that we used to look for securities information, its historical data, and its news. If that's okay, now I will move on to the next part, how we can look for the fundamentals, like financial statements, income statements, things like that, as well as the company filings of a particular company. For financial analysis, we have a function called FA. Just type financial, you will see financial analysis FA here. So you can click directly into this function. It looks like this. There are the different tabs at the top. So we have IS standing for income statements, BS, balance sheets, CFO statement, etc. So you just play around with all these tabs, get all the information you need. So, and also at the top, you can select its periodicity as well as currency, what currency you want it to display in, and whether you want to look at quarterly reports or annual reports, etc. You can just change at the drop at the top. So taking the ISD income statement as an example, here, for example, let's scroll down a bit. For example, let's look at how for 29, Tencent has an operating income of like 95722. So how do we actually get this number? So if you want to know more about the breakdown of the operating income, you can click into this number. And clicking into that, it will bring you to a data transparency page, meaning you can see the formula of calculating the operating income or losses. So for operating income, this is very straightforward. We all know that it's revenue minus the cost of revenue plus other operating income minus operating expenses. But there could be some other more complicated ratios. Like we want to know whether how it is adjusted or if EPS is used in it, which kind of EPS is used, things like that. So for those, if you want to know about the calculations and the formula, you can click into the number. And not just the formula here, at the part you can also see we have components. So we can click on it to expand. So we will know how much we have for revenue, how much we have for cost of revenue, etc. Expanding further into revenue, it also gives a further breakdown, like how much revenue is coming from sales and services, how much is coming from financing, like things like this. It also has service revenue, advertising revenue, so you can know the exact number breakdowns, like how we have this operating income calculated by clicking in all these breakdown in this data transparency page. If this part's okay for you, then I think you can take your time to take a look at the income statements, balance sheets, and cash flow statements. These are the very commonly used financial statements. But here I would like to bring you to the attention of this segments tab. So segments tab is something quite good for analysis. It is telling us, for example, for this revenue, like a revenue breakdown, like what are the business segments or different products that its revenues coming from. So for example, if I click into segments here, I can see that for Tencent, like how many percentage of its business is coming from fintech, how many of them are coming from online advertising, or if any other business lines like e-commerce, mobile, and telecommunications, how many revenue are coming from all these business lines. So you can see the number and the percentage here. Apart from the business segments, we can also see its geographical breakdown. So if I choose by geography at the top left corner, you can see like its geographical breakdown. So that makes sense. For Tencent, like large part of its revenue comes from mainland China. And if you run some other companies, for example, if you run Apple here, for an example, then you can also see for the revenue breakdown, it will show like how much percentage is coming from Europe, how much is coming from China or other APEC area, or like US, things like that. So in this page, it is showing us the breakdown of the revenue. And a bit more on the FA function, you can see that on the, maybe let me go back to the by measure tab first. You see that on the left-hand side, there is a small column, there is a chart icon. So if you click into this chart icon, you will be able to see the bar charts. This allows us to easily visualize the trends of its revenue or any other items on FA. So anything you want it to be shown on the chart here, just take it on the left-hand side. So for now, we have the first showing its online game revenue as well as shows social network revenue. So we can see how the revenue growth, the trend of the revenue growth historically for the different fiscal years. So these data you will be able to see on a bar chart here for easier visualization. And similarly, back to the IS or the other tabs like balance sheet tabs, if we want these data to be exported to Excel, just click export at the top. You can choose Excel and then choose current template. In that case, this financial statement will be exported. Lastly, would also like to show you guys this custom tab. So custom tab is an empty tab. Oops, still loading. Looks like this. It is empty. It doesn't have any information. So what it's for? Sometimes we want to locate for some of the information, but we are not sure whether it is in income statements or balance sheets or key sets. So we don't want to spend like 15 or 20 minutes like going over all these tabs. So a quick way to do is go to custom tab. At the top left corner here, there is a place for you to enter field, and then just type whatever you need. For example, I need to look at its like return on equity. For example, I will just type return on, and then at this menu you can already see there's return on common equity, so I can click this, and this field will be added here, and then you will be able to see it's historically for different fiscal years what's its return on common equity. We also have a gray line here showing its year-over-year change. So this is pretty much about the FA function. Do we have any questions on this function? If no question, then I will move on to their functions. And if there's any question, feel free to pop that in the chat. I will be able to see that. Next, I want to show you guys the company filings function. So the function is called company filings with shortcode CF. You can type CF directly, hit enter, and then you can go to this page. So just now we went through FA. It is a very easy way for us to look at its financial statements. But sometimes we want to look at its annual reports, like its company reported annual reports, which is something more than just financial statements. In that case, we can go to the C. Sometimes we want to look at its annual reports, like its company reported annual reports, which is something more than just financial statements. In that case, we can go to the CF function. Going to the CF functions, you can see on the left-hand side here is where we can enter some of its filters. For example, like its research, its filings, its presentations from the company look for the data. Left-hand side here, reports, which is something more than just financial statements. In that case, we can go to the CF function. Going to the CF functions, you can see on the left-hand side here is where we can enter some of its filters. For example, like its research, its filings, its presentations from the companies. All these, we can look for the data in CF. And let's first look at filings first. And then here you will be able to see its its relevant reports. For example, it's semi-annual report. So you can just click into that. And under filing, here you will be also able to see what other reports we have. For example, annual reports, semi-annual reports, etc. So just take the items that you need, and it will further filter down. So for example, I just clicked on semi-annual reports. Then now I can locate for all the semi-annual reports of Tencent. So let me just click into one of them. Yeah, so clicking into one of them, you will see there is a pop-up like this. So its semi-annual report is loading, and yeah, actually you can see we have two semi-annual reports here for English and Chinese. So you can also, based on your reference, you can also choose the reports that you need. Yeah, so this is how we can have all these reports found here in this CF functions. Because currently I'm working from home, and then my home Wi-Fi is really super low, so it takes quite some time for the whole report of 100-something pages to be loaded. So I may not spend this time here, but this is the way how we can order annual reports. I see a question. Ask if we can see a value that calculates or estimates based on the FA. Yeah, sure. So let me go back to the FA function. So at the FA function, so taking revenue as an example, you can also see we have the estimates for revenue. So here it briefly shows what is the estimates for fiscal year 2020 and fiscal year 2021. But we also have another function which is more tailored for estimates, and we will also go through that later. Or actually, I can also go through that now. So the function is called EEO, and EEO stands for Consensus Overview. So on EEO, this is where we can look for the estimates. For example, looking at Tencent in EEO, here are all the items that we have in estimates. For example, like we have estimates on EPS, we have estimates on revenue, on its EBITDA, etc. So you will be able to see all these data for different fiscal year. Similarly, at the top, you can change whether you want to look at quarterly estimates or annual estimate. You can change at this periodicity dropdown. And here at the source, you will see that by default, we are using standard. So what does standard mean? So these estimates are not made from Bloomberg, but we will collect the estimates from different analysts and brokers. And then after that, we will choose those that use similar methodologies. After including a pool, we will take an average of those. And here, this number that you're seeing, like 3.279, is the average of those estimates coming from the analysts. You also see that there is a great number 13 next to it. That actually means we have included 13 estimates here, and 3.279 is the average of that. And this is the usual way how we pull estimates from the Bloomberg terminal. However, here at the source dropdown, if you want the specifically see, maybe I only want to see estimates coming from Goldman Sachs, then in that case, you can choose broker here. And then after choosing broker, at this broker drop-down menu, you can specify whichever firms you want to look at. However, not all broker firms we will be able to see its estimate, because for some of the brokers, they show their estimates only to their clients, or only if you have their entitlement. So in that case, if we're not their client, we will not be able to see the data. Let's go back to the standard source. Just now I mentioned that we have this estimates for the EPS, and it's coming, for example, 3.279 is coming from 13 estimates. So if you click into the 3.279, you will be able to see who are the analysts, which firm do they come from, and what are the estimates that they've made based on like a 10-cent EPS. Yeah. And if you scroll down, you can see the other estimates. Like what I said, not all brokers we can see. For example, here you can see we cannot see the estimates coming from Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, UBS, etc. The estimates here, it is showing a dash, and that's the reason why. And on this EEO function, apart from the values tab, we can also take a look at the growth tab. So at the growth tab, we can see how this estimates changes between different quarters. So yeah, EEO is one of the major functions where we look at the estimates. And similarly, if we want to export this page, just click export button at the top, which is pretty straightforward. I hope this answers your questions on if you can look for estimates based on the FA. Next question, can we have financial report in a text file or Word file for linguistic analysis? So financial report, if you're referring to FA, if you want that in some Word formats, also we only support PDF and Excel. So yeah, going back to FA, if you click export, you can see we only support PDF and Excel. So yeah, there is not a direct way we can have it exported in words. What about estimated stock price based on FA? Okay, let me go through that later. So this is pretty much about the EEO function where we are able to look for its estimates. And the next function I wanted to show would be about analyst recommendation. This function is where you can look for whether the analyst saying it should be a buy or a sell, etc., as well as like the previous questions we've come across, whether we can where we can look for the targets. So you can type analyst recommendations on the command line, or you can run ANR. And then here, this is how the page looks like. At the top, let me quickly explain these functions. At the top left corner, you see there is consensus ratings. So interpreting these numbers is actually referring to 55 analysts currently think that Tencent is a buy. 3 of them think that it should be a hold. And currently, none of them think we should sell Tencent. And for these percentage here, 94.8% is essentially just telling us like 55 out of total 58, and this is expressed in a percentage form. And here is what you're asking. So if you want to know for the stock price estimates, that's what we call the target price. We have a 12-month target price, and it would also be shown here, 14.44. And apart from this target price, we also have some last price, etc. And then we have a chart at the right corner. So at this line, you can see, for example, for the yellow line, this is the actual stock price of Tencent historically, while for the white line here, this is also what you're asking. It's target price and how the target price changes historically. You can see this in this white line. We also have some green bars and yellow bars at the back. So green bars essentially is telling us this number, 94.8% number. It is the percentage of overall analysts providing buy recommendation. So comparing currently October in 2020 and comparing that with maybe October in 2019, we can see that the green bar is longer and the yellow bar portion is shorter. So that means for now we have a greater percentage of analysts thinking it should be a buy comparing to October back in 2019. So this is what this chart is about. And then we have an analyst recommendation table at the bottom part. So here is where we can look for the different analyst recommendation. For example, Kenneth from Credit Suisse, he thinks that Tencent is currently outperforming. And this is also the target price made by this analyst. And yeah, if you think that Kenneth makes very good recommendations, you want to know what are the other stocks that Kenneth has covered and what are the recommendations, you can click into Kenneth's name. In that case, you can see what are the other stocks that he covers and what are the recommendations and target price that he gave. And then if you want to know whether Kenneth thinks that Tencent has always been outperforming or whether his recommendation changes historically, click into the recommendation outperform. And then here in this page, you will be able to see how its recommendations and target prices changes historically. You scroll down. Yeah, so as we can see, Kenneth has always thinks that Tencent is outperforming. And Here at the chart at the bottom part, essentially this is a chart allowing us to visualize these data, whether there is a target price change, whether there is an upgrade or downgrade. And if you want to look for the analyst report, for example, like the report saying why it is a buy from Daiwa, then you see that at the first column here at this table, there is an icon. Clicking into this research icon, it will bring you to another function where you will be able to locate all the research from Daiwa saying why it is a buy. But again, similarly to the case of we're not able to view some of the estimates. Not all reports we can view that. For some reports, we may not be able to view the reports because we are not their clients. And on this function, if you want to export these data, click export button at the top. So this is the other function I wanted to show you earlier, which is the analyst recommendation function. And go for questions. I hope that answered your question whether we can find the estimated stock price, because that is usually we usually refers that to the target price, and it will be we will be able to look for that in the ANR function. Can Bloomberg be used via remote desktop instead of using Bloomberg Workstation? As you mentioned, you're at home. Any simplified Bloomberg version can be used at home. Yeah. So because we have different packages. And I believe for university, in that case, we may not be able to use Bloomberg at home. However, in the future, maybe you are working in some other firms, or maybe your work requires you to use Bloomberg at home. Then, in that case, your company will purchase another package for you, and that package is called Bloomberg Anywhere. So in that case, you will be able to use Bloomberg terminal at home, logging in. However, at this case, in the university, you will need to use the terminal in school. Do Bloomberg provide API for capturing live data? Yes, it provides. We do have some live data fields that can be used in API. I will cover that at the end of the session when we're talking about the Excel API. Do I know who has open API call for public to capture live data? Oh yeah, same question. We also have some fields for live data, for example, like live pricing, and we will be able to use that in Excel API. To see outstanding volume for calls or puts and their strike prices. Okay, for the options question, maybe I can also talk about that at the end of the session. And for now, I would like to first continue our parts on this. So this is where we can look for the just now we went through EEO and ANR. This is where we can look for the estimates as well as its target price and its analyst recommendation. If these two functions is good for everyone, then move on to the other function called EBT, standing for company events. And after going through the EBT functions, we have already covered the session for fundamentals and for earnings and estimates. So I think we can take a break maybe for 3 to 5 minutes if you guys need. So feel free to let me know in the chat if you prefer a break. Back to the EBT function, this is where we can look for its events calendar. For example, running EBT and then on Tencent, here it is showing all the relevant events of Tencent. On the left-hand side here is where we can see some of its filtering. For example, we want to see events of Tencent happening when, so we can set a date range here. You see that I also incorporate a future date here. So in that case, we can also see what are the future events, upcoming events, like when will be the upcoming earning release, things like that. Here under event types, we can take what we need. For example, say for now I have ticked almost everything, but if we want to look at only earnings calls and earnings release, then we can uncheck the other boxes. Yeah, so in that case, you can see that the results is a lot less and a lot more relevant now. It is only showing us any events related to earning calls and release. So this is where we can see when this events will be happening. For example, we can see that there will be an upcoming earning release, because you can recognize this E icon. This is the earning release icon. There will be an upcoming earning release happened in November this year. So I can know what it is for. Oh, it is a Q3 earnings it is stated here. Sometimes we may have the exact time or when this event will be happening, but not all of the time. So if we know the time that the event will take place, it will be shown here. But if not, then it will just show blank. After the events, you can also see at the right-hand side, there is a column for resources. So for example, if I wanted to know the transcript or any presentations or press release or actually the audio for that particular earning calls or anything, you can take a look at this resources column. So you can see there are these multiple icons here. If you hold over your mouse, you will know what these icon means. For example, this icons means press release. These icons means final transcript document. So you can know all these by hovering over your mouse at these icons, and will be all the available resources we have for this particular company events. Say you wanted to see the final transcript of this earning calls, then you can click into this icon. And then it will show a document like this. So this would be the transcript for the earning calls. So this is how we can make use of the EBQ function. First thing, to look for the dates for any past or future company events like earning calls or sales results or dividends. Second, we can look for the relevant resources like its transcript, its presentation materials, etc. in this function. So again, if you want to export, just click export button at the top. So this is what the company events function is about. May I ask, since we have quite a long session today, it's 1.5 hours, do we need a quick break maybe for 3 minutes? Okay, I see no response, but I'll take that as a yes. Okay, sure. So now it's 11:17, so we can come back at 3 minutes later, 11:20. Hey, is everyone back? Great. You mean that there is no package offer for personal use? Do you mean like personal using that at home or? Oh, so currently for university, we do not support we do not support that for students who use the Bloomberg terminal at home. However, we have another package which usually is, for example, when people are at work, like they are traders and etc., and they need to work from home to do some trades, etc. Then we have another package for that, and that is called a Bloomberg Anywhere. However, the package is different. So currently, for university students, we do not support. Does that answer your question? Okay, so if that's okay, then we'll move on to the other session, which allows us to do some peer comparison. Let me close out this, no problem. To conduct some peer comparison, we have one function called relative evaluation. This function, short code, is RV. You can type RV-go or relative and then locate this function here. So this is the RV function, and then at the top, this is where you can specify some of the criteria for the peer group. So, for example, we wanted to look at the peers of Tencent. However, they're based on its sector, right? But there are many different classification systems. We have GICS, we have BICS, etc. So here at this first drop down, this is allowing us to choose from like which particular classification system we want to choose from here. Second, we have a region breakdown. So whether we want to look at all the global companies or just companies in the same sector but locally or only in APAC, etc. So we will also be able to specify the region here. And then here at this part, you see segments. So because even for Tencent, it is categorized as internet media. It is also categorized as video games, etc. So this is allowing you to choose whichever segments you want it to be. So we can screen out peers in the same segment. So you can choose it here, and this will also affect the peers you see at the bottom part. At the bottom part here, you see there is an this is where it shows all the peers of Tencent and also the other key data for comparison. For example, for the overview tab, you can see that we have key data like market caps, like its price, its change in price, its revenue, EPS, PE, and return on equity, and as well as its dividend. And if you wanted to compare more on the fundamental side, for example, on its profitabilities or other of its balance sheets items, like its debts, maybe liability situation, things like that, you can click on the com sheets here. And then in the com sheets, yeah, you will be able to see there are some subtabs, for example, like profitability, balance sheet, etc. So clicking into the relevant subtabs, you will be able to see the different data we have for comparison, for comparing the peers of Tencent as well as Tencent. Apart from this, we also have ESG. So, but not all companies disclose their ESG related data. So if we have that data, it will be shown here. But yeah, as you can see, there are many dashes. So not all companies disclose these kind of data. And then, so you can also play around with the tabs, whether you want to compare its estimates, its EPS, its profitability. You will be able to find relevant information in these few tabs. So RV, I would say, is a very good function for peer analysis. And lastly, I wanted to quickly introduce this custom tab. So similarly to the custom tab in F8 that we went through, it is like a blank template. So we can add whatever we want here for comparison. Say I wanted to compare their revenue growth. So what I can do is you see at this custom tab table, there is an add column at the top left corner. So I will just type like revenue growth. after typing revenue growth, I already see there is some relevant things like revenue growth year-over-year. So I will just click this one. After choosing the field at the second drop down here, you will be able to choose its periods, or you can also choose customize period at this drop down. After choosing customize period, you can like exactly reference, like for example, let's look at fiscal year 2019. That case, I have selected a period and selected a field, and you'll see that an extra column is added. This shows the revenue growth year-over-year for fiscal year 2019 for Tencent and all of its peers. So you can create your own custom template here. So you don't need to, like every time, you don't need to check for its market cap at the overview tab, and then check for its profitability in the com sheets tab, and then check for its EPS at the EPS review tab. No, you don't need. You can just add the data that you need in this custom template. So later on, after you have saved this template, you can run another security, and you can still use the same template for peer comparison for that particular security. And say, for example, after I've added a few columns, if I wanted to save this template, I will click Save button here, and then give it a name. For example, I'll give it 16th of October, and then I'll click Save. After that, you will see that under Custom, this is the template that I've saved. So next time I run another security, I can directly go to Custom tab, go back to 16 October, and then I will have all these columns appeared here. I also wanted to show you guys, you see there is a maximum, there is an average tab here. So I think this is quite good. So with the average tab, you will be able to compare like the average of the peer group and Tencent. So that would be easier. For example, if you are looking at its PE ratio, then you can know what is the average PE, and looking at the PE of Tencent, whether the stock is relatively more expensive or like cheaper, etc. So it is always good to include something like average of its peer group, and so easier for comparison. And for these kind of average and maximum data, you can add it by clicking the settings tab at the top, clicking settings, and then going to global settings. And then here you will be able to choose, okay, so now I have picked these two, but if I also wanted to look at the sum, then I will take sum here. So now I take sum and average, and then I will click close. So now you see that these two rows are changed into sum and average. This is how we can pull some statistics of the peer groups as a whole. Moving on to the metric on the right-hand side. So the best thing about this page is that in the metric we have this range bar, easier for like we can easier look at how Tencent is performing comparing to the median. So we can see the peer ratio of Tencent and the relative peer group, and then if you hold over, you see there are two dots here, the orange dots and the blue dots. If you hold over the your mouse at the dots, you see that the blue dots represents 700 Tencent, orange dot represent the median. So just now we talked about how we can look for different data items for its peer groups, how we can pull its average for comparison, and how we can specify the different quotation system for the sectors, etc. But what if you already have a like a peer group in mind? So you don't want to use the peers we have here. You don't want to compare it with Alibaba or with Phoenix New Media, etc. Then you can also customize the peer groups based on your own preference. So you see that at the com source, there is a pencil icon next to it. Clicking into the pencil icon, this is where you can add any security you like, delete the security that you don't need. After that, click Save. And then save it as a new peer group, and then run the RV function, and it will only show the peer group of your own preference. For now, I'm not saving it, but this is how you can customize the peer group. And then back to the RV function. Yeah, one last time. For me to export, just click Export button at the top. And to change currency, you can change it here. Is there any questions regarding the RV function? When you compare with peer, what is the default currency of the market cap shown? Yeah, so for the market cap, it is shown, and you can choose this currency here. So you can choose, for example, for Tencent, then by default, for me here it is showing Hong Kong dollar. But you can also choose like fundamental reporting or ticker pricing. So in that case, if you're comparing like global companies, they may have to, like US companies and Hong Kong companies, they may have different pricing currency. They may also have different fundamentals reporting currency. And in that case, you will have different currency for the market cap. However, if you want to standardize the currency for all the peer groups for easier comparison, then you can just specify here at the currency dropdown. Does this answer your question, Jack? Great. Any other questions on relative valuation? If not, then I will move on to the next session. That would be about how to look for relevant research. And to look for research, I would like to recommend two functions. First function is called the research portal. Short code is BRC. So after running the ticker and the function code BRC, you will see all the relevant research of Tencent here. And similarly, on the left-hand side, you see there are some of the filters. So for example, you want to read only reports from JP Morgan, then just take JP Morgan here. You can filter the source. Not just these four options. You can click more, and then you can filter more sources, or you can directly type in, for example, like JP Morgan here, and then you can see that we have sources and analysts. So here you can also specify the sources here. And apart from that, we can also have some other things. For example, we can look at only its buy research. So I just tick buy, and then it will show all the research of recommending Tencent as a buy from different companies here. So you see that every filter we added here on the yellow line on the top, there are one more tags. So essentially, they are performing the same function. We can either filter with these common filters here by ticking that, or we can just type the keywords here at this yellow search bar, like what I did for JP Morgan just now, to filter the research. But one last time that I have repeated that all research are available for all the users. If we do not have the entitlement for some of the brokers, we may not be able to view this research. So let me take a look. Let me see if I can see this. So clicking into the research, we will be able to see their analyst research. On the left-hand side, you will be able to see who is the analyst that conducted this research, as well as the findings inside. And if you wanted to send, because I am also aware that you may not be using the terminal all the time every day. So if you wanted to keep the research for maybe future reference for projects, etc., you can click the send button at the top. So here you can enter your maybe your own email stuff, and then this research will be attached here. So I was thinking maybe looking at some of these analyst reports, it is a very good tool for us in case we need to do some stock pitch, or in case we need to compile of some of the financial reports ourselves. Great. Apart from this, you can also have download and copy link. So copy link, you will be able to send it internally. However, since you may not be using terminal so often, so I would say sending it as an email is the most relevant function you may use. So this is pretty much about the search portal. The next function I wanted to show you guys is called Bloomberg Intelligence. Short code is BI, so you can just type BI and then hit enter. I'm not sure if all of you heard of Bloomberg Intelligence. This is a team within Bloomberg, so we also populate some data, and we also conduct some research on a lot of the topics. So the difference between BI and BRC is BRC, it includes research from different brokers, from different firms. But on Bloomberg Intelligence, we only include research, our in-house research by the Bloomberg Intelligence team. And I would say maybe for the other brokers, their analyst report is a very good tool to look at. However, they will have it's very often that they will have a stance like whether you should buy this stock or you should sell this stock. On Bloomberg Intelligence Report, we simply analyze on that company or that particular sector or that topic. We do not provide recommendations on whether we should buy or sell, etc. Here at this BI page, you can see that we can expand into the different industries or different strategies. So these are also some of the topics we have for the research and the data. For example, let's look at maybe say farm, say the farm industry. So we can search it here, and then you can see that we have the relevant dashboards here. So I will click it. So what is a dashboard? A dashboard contains some research and contains some raw data. For example, going to this search results, let's first click into the dashboard of it so we can know better. Like this. So on the left-hand side, you see that we have a few categories. We have research, we have data library. Under research, we can click into industry. This is where we can look for industry research. Yeah, so we also have the different tabs here. So for example, if you wanted to know about indicators of this industry and what are its current themes, then you can also take a look at these industry reports in these tabs. Or if you want to know about the stocks in this stocks on this industry, click into equity, and bonds, click into credit, etc. So under research is where we can easily locate industry research. And under data library, these we can here we will be able to look for the raw data. For example, for market share, we can look at the market share of the different essentially this is showing for Pfizer, but we can also include the other companies here. So we will be able to look for its market share data, maybe it's some of its earnings data. Yeah. So why would I say BI is a very good page when you need to conduct industry research? Because for a lot of the data, like for example on drug licensing, it is hard to find this data on terminal elsewhere. But BI would be a page that groups all the relevant data you need when you need to understand this industry. For example, when you need to understand the pharmaceutical industry, then you can go to drug licensing. You have Drug Explorer, etc. So it groups all the relevant data you need regarding this industry here. Yeah, so these are some of the relevant data here. And just one side note, very good part about BI is that, say, going back to the research page, if you want to look at one of the research, let's take this one as an example. Okay, the COVID-19 vaccine one. So you can click into that. And if there are some parts you want to clarify within the research, say you don't know where this data come from, where does this chart come from, or if you want more clarification on a certain paragraph or arguments, then you can always see there is a contact person, the author at the top right corner, and you can contact this person in Bloomberg Terminal. So with their contact, you can send message to them in MSG. So this is what the BI function is about. Let me take a look at the questions. For those analyst reports, are they just available in Bloomberg and not shared in public market? As we always see lots of reports published by different investment banks shared to the public. Yeah, I do believe investment banks also do publish their own reports, and if you wanted to look for them elsewhere, it could be possible. I'm not sure whether this is only available in Bloomberg Terminal. However, I would say BRC is the page where you can look for these reports in Terminal. Does Bloomberg cover patent information, number of patents, and types of patents? For the questions on the patents, I would need to check further with the Bloomberg intelligence team as well as our data team. So after checking that, I can get back to you an email. Could you type your email in the chat room so I can follow up with you? 1 second. Let me note down your question. Okay. Yeah, I will follow up with you on the patent information. That one I would need to check with the data team. Is it possible to implement algorithm trading and backtesting? Algorithm trading and backtesting. Do you mean using that in some kind of a programming environment, like Python? So yeah, let me explain it this way. We do have some products for Python is a stress level. Yeah, we do have some platform where you are able to run some Excel formula on some programming environment. However, that is not enabled to all clients. Yeah. I'm not sure if for a university student this is included. But yeah, I can also double check and I can get back to you if you're interested. However, if you wanted to do more on backtesting, you can clarify more on your backtesting request first, so we can see how it goes. But yeah, you can leave your email and I can let you know whether you're enabled for those platforms. To do backtesting for financial indicators. Say I want to test a combination of MACD plus DKJ plus MT information side to get accuracy from historical data. Okay, for backtesting, that would be 1 second. I can go through a function for backtesting later. But first, let me finish all these first. Yeah, so this would be the function for looking for research. And yeah, actually we do not have a lot of time left, so maybe I can go through the backtesting function now. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with technical indicator, like one of the students mentioned, like for example MACD, etc. But we have this BT function for backtesting and optimization. Actually, an easier function, a basic function, BTST, where we can see how different strategies, like how is P&L using different strategies for that particular. Because for these kind of indicators, it's not like one size fits all, right? So yeah, BTST allows us to change the ticker at the top, so we can see, okay, within this period and looking at daily data, how is SMA performing, how is MACD performing, etc. So what would be the P&L and how many trades done? So you can know which one ranks the top, which strategy brings you the most profit within this period, and for your own analysis. So in XT here, it includes some of the commonly used strategies, like those MA rate of change, those are included here. But say, like what you said, you wanted to customize your own strategy, then we will recommend you another function, which is called BT, and BT is for backtesting and optimization. So in BT, at the top left corner, you can click Create, and then you can click New Trading Strategy. So this is where you can enter those. So for example, on the left-hand side, you can select the studies that you want. For example, let's take maybe say SMA as an example, and then after that, you will be able to add the study on the right-hand side, and then here, by clicking on the pencil icon, you will be able to add the period. So you don't want to look at 26 days, you want to look at 20 days, and just change the period here. At the bottom part, here we can enter the different actions. For the students who is asking about backtesting, I think I would just like quickly go through these backtesting functions, because I'm not sure if all of the students are familiar with this. And if you have a customized strategy you wanted to backtest, it is always best if you can go to help us list all your criteria, so we can guide you with some screenshots on how we compose this backtesting, like how do we set the final strategy here. So just a quick introduction. Here we can select the action type, some enter long, enter short position, and just a quick tip on this BT function. Minimum we need to have like at least an enter long and an exit long, because eventually its ultimate goal is to backtest your profit based on the strategy, right? So we need to have like enter long, exit long. And we can use maybe enter long using market order at next open. So this is saying right after the signal was triggered, we will take the action to enter long position at the next open price. When maybe close and like crosses above, say, SMA. So things like that. And we can also maybe do something like exit long when close, say cross below SMA. Yeah, we can set some rules like this. So you can do at this condition, you can choose conditions for crossovers, or you can choose like it's greater than, etc. Apart from this, apart from the market order, we also have something like stop order or limit order. So it's like, for example, for stop order is like after you have lost a certain money, you wanted to like just stop it. So usually here maybe we can do like maybe exit a position, or maybe you can do something like liquidate, just up to your own preference. And say, for example, loss on close, we can choose. There are also some other items here for you to like define your loss. So for example, we have percentage equity, percentage price. So percentage price is like just taking into consideration your purchase, your entry price, and your exit price. Like I buy at 10, I sell at 9.5. In that case, I lost 5%, right, in terms of price. So if I say if my loss on percentage price is greater than 4, and now I have a 5 drop in price, so my loss is already greater than 4. In that case, this condition is hit, and the strategy will be liquidated. So there are some kinds of conditions we can set like this. While for percentage equity, that's also commonly used, that would be meaning taking into consideration both price and the position. So I would say I don't have a time to go through every single item here, but there is a very good page. If you wanted to know more about this BT function, you can go to Help BT. And after at Help BT, this would be the help page. You see some items, for example, like a market order. You wanted to understand what is market order, just type at the top left corner here, type market order, and then you will be able to like look for its relevant definition. Apart from the definition of the different terms we have in the BT function, you can also take a look at the workflow to understand how the tracking is running. So this part will be for how we define the strategy. This is just a simple example. And apart from this, you can also give it a name. For example, I'll call it again October 16, and then I'll click Save to save my strategy. And because for this backtesting, its end goal is to know your P&L after the strategy, right? So we also need to have the simulation control. So clicking on this tab, you can like select some options for it. So at the top left corner is just defining the period, whether it's daily, and what is the period of this backtesting. Trading approach, long and short is default, but you can choose long only. In that case, you remember early in BT, we have the action type, we have those enter long, exit long option, right? If you choose long only, then those options will be automatically converted into long only, enter long, exit long, etc. Initial capital means you the initial you have for investing into trading when you enter strategy. So it is assuming we have 100K, but you can also change this in the initial capital here. Default trade price, as I explained earlier, by default we're using next open, but you can also choose based on your own preference, meaning when the signal is triggered, we will use the next open price to whether to take the action, to whether to enter a position or whatnot. Trade size here we have all in, like meaning that okay, for my initial capital is 100K. After the first strategy, I enter a long position, I earned 10K. So now my cumulative P&L becomes 110K. For the next trade, I will enter all 110K in it. So that is what you mean by all in. Also have some other options like capital. So for each trade, I am not putting like 110K, etc. I'm just putting 10K into each of the trades. Or capital percentage, 10% in that case, meaning okay, now after several trades, my P&L become 150K. So now I will only enter 10% of each of the trades. So for now, my P&L is 150K. For the next trade, I will enter just 15K into that. So yeah, as well as shares. So how many shares you're gonna buy. So these, and on the right hand side, these are the settings for its transaction cost. So say whether you have the transaction commission cost for your trade, and you can also enter it here. And after all these, you can let me go back to all in. You can click the analyze button. So for analyze here, you will be able to see for this particular strategy, when is the signal triggered, when is long, when is exit long. You can see it from this here. And on the chart at the bottom part, this is showing its P&L. While on the right hand side, this is a quick summary showing the statistics of a strategy, whether in total what is your win and loss, how many times have you won, how many times have you lost. You can see that with this strategy on Tencent itself, we have picked 28 trades, and within this 28 trades, 12 of them is a win, 16 of them is a loss. We also have the P&L of that, like the average P&L, average win, average loss, etc. So these are some of the statistics you can take a look. Also, we have the trade table, which shows you like the exact date, when does the buy and sell occur, what is the price we used to do the buy and sell, and as well as the P&L of each trade, etc. So yeah, for the time being, I just quickly went over some of the key features of backtesting. If if you have your custom strategy, please feel free to send that to Bloomberg Help Desk. We will be able to show you how you can actually incorporate multiple study in the backtesting here. To sign up to contact Bloomberg Help Desk, you can click this. You see at the very top there is a favorite toolbar, and you can click the help key twice. And in that case, you can type in your question here and then contact Bloomberg Help Desk, or alternatively, you can you will have a Bloomberg keyboard. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't able to show you the Bloomberg keyboard for now, but yeah, you will have a Bloomberg keyboard, and on your Bloomberg keyboard at the top, there is also a help key. So similarly, click press on that button twice. F1 button is the help button. Click on that F1 button twice, and you'll be able to contact Bloomberg Help Desk. Let me check. Sorry, and so we have 7 minutes left, so let me just quickly wrap up by showing you guys about Excel API. So we can use Bloomberg formula to pull data in Excel. For example, like this. For example, say we want to pull the price of Tencent, and there is one function called FLDS where we can look for its relevant fields. So it's a field search function, FLDS. At the top left corner here, you can search for price. And then here you can see what other relevant fields we have. For example, we have last price. The field we use will be PX last, meaning in the formula we would need to include PX last in order for the value to be read. An easy way to construct the formula is that you see that the last price for Tencent is 555.5. Just directly drag and drop this value. Get this into the Excel, and then you will see that the formula is populated for us. The formula is BDP, and then the ticker, and then PX last being the field. Let me enlarge it. Yeah, so this is how we can construct Bloomberg formula. For current data, the formula format is the BDP, and then followed by the ticker, Lst08 Equity, comma, and the second part would be PX last, which is the field for the data item. So these two will be essential and necessary for constructing a BDP formula to pull current value. Similarly, if you want to pull another thing, you want to look at market cap, then you see that this current and then underscore MKT underscore cap is the field, right? So you can just directly copy this thing paste it here, the view part. And you can get the other value for its market cap. So what if you want to pull historical data? Say you wanted to pull its cap from 1st of September to 30th of September of Tencent, then you need to change your formula. And for historical data, we would need to use BDH instead of BDP, with BDH standing for historical data. So this would be the ticker, the field, and here you can enter the start date, which is, and the date format follows year, months, and dates. For example, 2020 0901 for 1st of September, and with the end date being like this. After that, you will see the historical data populated. So for BDH form, we have 4 parts necessarily need to be included. That is ticker, field, start date, and end date. So this is some of the basics of constructing Bloomberg formula. And actually, if you really need to construct some formula but you are not sure how to, it's always good that you can contact Bloomberg Help Desk, so we can directly provide the formula with you, and we can also guide you how we construct the formula. For your reference, you can go to a page called Help.p. Help.p is the help page for desktop API. For example, like using Excel, Bloomberg formula, these kinds, what we call DAPI, and then you can go to constructing formulas on the left-hand side. So here you will be able to see the syntax and some of the examples of BDP and BDH formula. So like BDP syntax, BDH syntax, BDH examples, BDP examples. Clicking into those, you will be able to look for a more detailed instruction as well as some examples. So this is a help page. Always good to refer to that. Earlier, I remember I have a questions on whether we have live data, right? So yeah, we do have that. Similarly, we can look for real-time field on FLDS. So for example, I search for last price in FLDS. You see that just now I used this PX last price. PX last price is orange in color, but we do have some white color. So for white color fields, they are the real-time price, so they will update. So I will click on this last price. And if I put it here in a BDP formula, it will become a real-time update field. So this is how we can pull. Yeah, you can see that the data itself will update because this is real-time. So this is how we can use Excel formula to pull real-time data. So I think I have covered quite a lot for today, including the Excel API, fundamentals, the SPR evaluation and research. Yeah, but earlier there's a questions on how to look for options, right? Second.
Once again, thank you for Ingrid for the insightful sharing today. And before you guys go, I would be really appreciate if you can spend just 1 or 2 more minutes to fill in a quick questionnaire to give us some feedback about this workshop. I will be posting the hyperlink in the chat area right now, so it's just posted. So grateful if you can just go there and then fill in the questionnaire. So I guess Ingrid will also be staying here for a little while, maybe just a minute or 2, and then if you got any final question, feel free to ask. Okay. Once again, thank you for Ingrid for the sharing today.
No problem. Thank you. Oh, I found the questions on outstanding volumes for calls and all puts and the strike prices. So yeah, I saw the question now. So we do have this function where we can look for options related function. Let me just quickly go through this in seconds. The function is called OMON. So now here I will be able to see call and puts options of this particular stock, Tencent, here, all listed here, and you will also be able to look for its volume, its open interest, etc. of these particular stocks. So the function will be OMON. Yeah, just want just don't want to keep you guys for long. If you have any last minute questions, please feel free to ask. How to check options and other derivatives like CDS. So for a particular company, if you want to know what are the other securities they have, you can go to a function called RELS for related securities. So here on the left-hand side, you will be able to see, like you can see we have stocks, we have bonds, we also have CDS, we have options, etc. So in RELS, you further click into those, and then you will have a list of its relevant securities shown. Hope that answered your question. No problem. No more question. I think that would be the end of today's session. Thank you, William. Thanks, everyone.